Step one of fitting a wheel cradle to a Leaf is to get it up on some ramps if you have them, so you've got some reasonable access underneath. And after that, this one has a tray underneath it, so we'll be removing that tray first. This is the tray, which is held on with a few screws along the back tray, a couple along the front, and a few trim clips around the place. So loosen those, remove those, and it will pop right out. This is the included kit, and the parts are laid out roughly how they're going to be assembled in the car. In the kit there is a little bit of adjustability. So here there are multiple holes in this bracket, so you can mount it in a few different spots or even underneath. Same with that middle bar, you can go underneath or over the top, whatever fits the wheel you've got. I tend to go above in the middle hole, and I'm going to go below on this one here. Put the bolts in. I also usually face them up. Put them in, get them loosely tight so you can still move when you're going to install them. We'll be installing it under there. We will be fixing the bracket to that bolt and that bolt, the battery bolts. You just loosen those off, put the bracket underneath it and bolt it back up. So this is what that looks like fully installed. You can see those brackets are mounted and they're just hanging down like that. It is a little harder to film under here, but this is the back of the car. And on this back section you can see a hole there, and you follow it along, and another hole there. That's what the big flat bar will do. And the angle pieces go on the top. Some New Zealand New and UK Leafs do not have these holes, so you'll just have to drill a little hole there and a little hole about there. There it is with the bar installed. You can see the angles at the top on both sides and some holes in the middle for the hooks. Then these brackets go into these holes. I put the bolt in from behind, the bracket goes in on the rear side of the car, and you want them to be so just a little loose so they freely move sideways. They don't have to be tight at all. Now you can lift the bracket up a bit hard with one hand, and that will sort of line up there. If it doesn't line up, you can move these brackets back or forward to make it line up. Also, sometimes the bends on those rear arms, you can just push the whole tray back a bit and put a little bit more bend in there. We do try and bend them all accurately, but they are all done mostly by hand. So sometimes they are not quite bent far enough. So just push the whole tray back if the front here doesn't line up very nicely at all. Now you can put in your wheel and raise it up. Going to be a bit hard to show you, but if you pull it up, just rest it in one of the bottom holes if you can easily get it in there. Just one of them, and you can set the other one. You can usually get it in the second slot, but just do whatever fits nice and tight, but also that you can still get out when you're on the side of the road. There you go, so they're on the second slot. They're quite steep, they're reasonably hard to get in sometimes. You can put it in the lower slot if it's easier, it just might bounce around a little bit. This is nice and silent. You can use a jack even to push it up. Now these wheel nuts that hold everything in place are the same as the one on your wheels, so you need the same wheel brace. We just recommend that instead of putting them on with the cone inwards like they come, is to swap them around and put the flat side in, and that way it'll just clamp it in place nicely. So just put that on, tighten it up with your wrench, Do that on both sides. Swap this one over too. And then that'll be nice and secure. Once that is tight, you also might remember that these we left quite loose, so maybe just give them a tighten up now that they're in the right place and where they're going to stay. Just tighten those up and then you'll be good to go. And that's the story on how we fit a wheel cradle to a Nissan Leaf.